Hi, my name is Kubeir. Welcome to the channel. Today's video is about the Ontario draw cutoffs that are at 467 and how you can tackle them. A lot of you are quite angry, upset, frustrated, irritated with the federal skill draws not happening, which you know absolutely absolutely there with you on that. But because those draws are not happening, a lot of people are also missing out on opportunities with provinces like Ontario, which in this year itself they have conducted nearly 4,000 plus. They have sent out more than 4,000 plus invitations under their tech draw and under their human capital priorities targeted occupation stream. And the cutoff, the high cutoff has been 467. Well, then the first factor is, why is it at 467? And then for people who do not know, and we've already spoken about this quite a few times. So what usually happens is that Ontario will conduct its draws in tandem with the all program express entry draw. At times they've done it with the CEC, they've connected with CEC as well, but by and large, they would play it in tandem with the all program express entry draw. And the reason for that is, for example, today's draw express entry draw is at 470. And tomorrow, Ontario goes on issues invitations to 475. Well, who in the right mind would accept that invitation from Ontario, right? Because they're going to get an express entry invite at 470. So therefore, what Ontario would do is they would always issue the high cutoff at 1 point less than the last all program express entry draw. And in this case, what has happened is that the last all program express entry draw was on the 23rd of December, and the score was 468. And therefore, Ontario continues to issue the high cutoff at 467, which is 1 point less than that all program draw. But obviously, nobody has sent a memo to Ontario to remind them that there is no all program draw for nearly 10 months. Going to be 10 months, more than 9 months now. And so they haven't woken up to that fact. Alberta, on the other hand, did wake up to that fact, and they have very recently been sending out invitations to all high-ranking profiles as well. But now that this is an issue, and I think I should have made this video long back, considering what was happening. But then, me being me, and I'm being always this forever hopeful thing with my head, and I'm always expecting that, okay, next week the draw is going to come. Next week the federal skill draws are going to happen. So I never thought this Ontario high cutoff at 467 was ever going to be an issue, because, hey, it's going to happen, right? But now that this is ongoing and we still haven't seen a federal skill worker draw, and as much as I want to hope that it will happen definitely next week, I don't know, and nobody knows, and we can only speculate. We can only throw darts in the air, and sometimes it falls back on our face, and that's absolutely all right, because that's all part of this whole process, right? But so what I want to talk to you about today is that if at all you are an aspirant in the Canadian immigration process and you are sitting at a score and losing out on these invitations that are being sent by Ontario, then what can you do, or what you should do, or who out of you should be even looking at this? Well, first things first, you need to keep in mind that express entry draw will happen. Federal skill draw will happen for sure. There is no two ways about it. If you want, you can absolutely sort of kill me for that, but it will happen for sure. If you are a high scoring profile, when I'm saying high scoring profile, we have already gone through the express entry pool breakdown several times before. But you can always head over to the express entry pool breakdown and you will be able to see that there are significant number of profiles which are sitting at 500 plus. There are significant number of profiles that are sitting at 481 plus. So we know that the first few draws that are going to, whenever they are conducted, would probably be at a very high score cutoff in express entry, which would be definitely be at above 480 plus. So if the draws are going to be at 480 plus and there is a big number of profiles in the pool, so for the scores to trickle down or to scores to come down at below 480 and then 475 plus, or then less than 475, it's going to take a lot of time. Not only is it going to take a lot of time, there has to be very serious intent from IRCC to send out a lot of invitations so that the scores can reduce quickly rather than gradually. And that could take a lot of time. Some of you might lose out on scores because of your upcoming birthdays. Your documents may be expiring, like IELTS or ECAs. So all those factors are also to be taken into consideration. So if your scores are above 480, This probably may not be something that you would want to do, because hey, if you do this, what we're going to talk about today, that is primarily concentrating around reducing your CRS score. I mean, when the hell did I ever think I was actually going to make a video and trying to tell you how you can reduce your CRS score? Then always the other effort and attempt is to how to increase your CRS score. But that's what we're going to do today. So if your score at all is at 480 plus, this is a disclaimer. Please do this at your own risk, because if there is a draw tomorrow and you miss out on that draw just because you went ahead with this, then don't come and blame me for that. Okay. So please be mindful. Please be aware. Please be watchful, do your due diligence, and only then go ahead and do it. So everything that I'm going to tell you today in today's video, it is not misrepresentation. Misrepresentation is something which is very serious, and I obviously will never ever recommend that you do something of that sort. This is about points. Express entry is about points, and it is how you can play around with the points. Sometimes you want to get more points, so you do certain things, you take certain actions to get more points. In today's case, we are going to do certain things whereby we can not claim those additional points, but unclaim them, or sort of go around the whole process in sort of saying how we can not get those points or not be awarded those points. So as I said, express entry is all about, it's a system. So it's a computer system. You enter some information, it will give you some results. So the information you enter is against the points you will claim for different factors. If you don't wish to claim points for certain factors, you don't need to take those points, and therefore those will not be awarded to you, and therefore it is not really misrepresentation. Misrepresentation is when you provide fraudulent documents, when you're trying to mislead the visa officer, or you're trying to mislead the authorities with material information in making them make an error in their judgment. We are not going to do any such thing, which is absolutely unethical and unlawful as well. So you will not be doing anything of that sort. What we're talking about is something just within the whole parameters as to how you can twist and turn certain things in order to sort of get the benefit of reducing your score for a change. So let's head over to what I have here. And this is, yeah, we're going to talk to you about that as well in a bit. But first things first is, on the website you have is the comprehensive ranking systems criteria for the express entry. So this is your CRS grid point. This is basically your, if you want to call it the Bible, or this is where the source of all your points or the description of all your points will come to you. Now, as you all obviously already know, that your factor points are quite simple, straightforward. You will get points for age, you will get points for level of education, you will get points for languages, and you will get points for work experience. So you could have Canadian work experience, you could not have Canadian work experience, but you get points for foreign work experience. You do not get points for work experience directly. So you don't get points for foreign work experience directly. You get points for Canadian work experience directly, as in those are specific allotted points. The points for foreign work experience or outside Canada work experience are awarded to you by way of skills transferability, and I'm going to talk to you about that in a bit. So first things first, you can't do nothing about the age. So let me just go down and scroll here. Now, these are the age factor points. You can't do anything about these. If you have them, you have them, I mean, so sometimes you might just want to be wishing that your birthday is going to come sooner, because that way you will lose your 5 points and probably sit in the grid point that you're looking at. Next is your level of education. Now, this is where something can be done. Also keep in mind, the points are different with a spouse and the points are different without a spouse. Without a spouse is you are a single applicant, or you are either legally separated, divorced, God forbid, widower, and also if your spouse is not accompanying you. Those will be the factor points without a spouse or common law partner. If you are married, your spouse is accompanying you, then your common law partner is accompanying you, then you will be claiming points with a spouse. All these factor points, as you can see, are different. There would be some cases out there where you have gone ahead and claimed points for a master's degree. Now, if you've gone ahead and claimed points for master's degree, whereas you actually have an ECA report from, for example, you have an ECA report from Wes gave you a equivalency of a diploma, but you were not happy because obviously you wanted more points. So you went ahead and got another equivalency done from probably IQAS or from CES. And they then gave you the master's equivalency. And you said, hurrah, my points have gone up. Well, now you can be thankful to WES, go back and remove your equivalency from IQAS and only claim points as far as the WES equivalency is concerned. And what that will do is that will reduce your points by 7. Okay, this is what it will do. It will reduce your points by 7. You get 2 or more certificate diploma degree points. One must be at program of 3 or more. You will get 119. For master's degree, you get 126. So if you now also have an evaluation or an ECA report whereby you can get points for 2 degrees and not for masters. So you have a WES report which says your master's was equal to a diploma. This is what you can do. You can actually claim, you can go back and claim points for 2 degrees or more instead of claiming points for masters. That is your first factor where you can make a difference in your points. You can straight away reduce it by 7 points. So if you're in the range of 475, well, you can actually drop down to 467 by doing this. So that is your one factor. The next factor would be with your IELTS. Now, I'm sure all of you know that, I mean, if you are in the 470s range, obviously you are already into the CLB lines. And not only CLB 9, if you are at 470 plus, you would actually be in some factors, you may also have CLB 10. Otherwise, you will not be in the 470 plus range. Otherwise, I mean, if you do not have any other additional factor. And in this case, what you can do is if you have taken or if you had undergone multiple IELTS tests, then choose an IELTS test which is still valid, which will actually give you less points. Which what I mean to say is, for example, the one that you have in your Express Entry profile now is with CLB 10 in all factors. So listening, reading, writing, speaking, everything is CLB 10. You're claiming points for CLB 10 all the way through. If you are somebody who's of the age 29 and below, your 3 years of work experience, master's degree, CLB 10, all factors, your score is going to be 481. If you have a CLB 10 in 3 factors, your score is going to be 478. But now if you're at 478 and you want to actually drop down to 467, then all you need to do is look at your old IELTS report, which you may have if you had taken multiple times, and see if you have one which had a lower score of probably CLB 9, then you may be able to use that. And with that itself, again, your scores are going to be reduced. This is the same thing. For example, if you have a lower IELTS scores and you want to get more scores, so what do? You go and retake IELTS. And when you retake IELTS, those new scores is what you're going to present in your Express Entry profile to get more CRS score. This is just the reversal of that game. Even if you have high IELTS score, if you actually want to reduce it, go ahead and take another IELTS and see if you get a lower score. If you do get a lower score, come back and update it in your Express Entry profile, and then you will have that opportunity of reducing your score. I still can't believe I'm making a video on how to reduce your CRS scores. All right, what else do we have here? You also keep in mind, please, that you have factor points for your spouse. So if you're married and your spouse, you've claimed points for your spouse's language, for your spouse's education, for your spouse's Canadian work experience, if at all that applies to you, then those are also areas or points where you can reduce your score. Okay, so for example, instead of you going to retake your IELTS, have your spouse retake IELTS and probably score less. It sounds funny. I mean, everything is contradictory to everything else you ever said before, but hey, you got to do what you got to do, right? So if your spouse can take IELTS and probably score less, so these are 3 factor points for each level of your IELTS, and let's say they earlier had CLB 9 in all factors, now make them get less in at least 1 or 2 factors, and this way you will be able to reduce your score. And again, you don't want to reduce it by too much. Keep in mind, you only want to fall between the 463, 464 to 467. If you fall further below 463, 464, then again, you may have the danger of not being invited. So that is your target area. What else have we got? We also have I can't see that one. Where is that gone? Spouse's education, of course. Yes. Again, same thing as we spoke about your education, as in you scoring a master's degree. If your spouse scored a bachelor's or has only a bachelor's degree or has a separate equivalency of master's degree, well, go ahead and claim points only for bachelor's degree. Okay, do not provide equivalency or evaluation report for masters. You will still need to declare masters. You cannot hide that. Hiding your masters would be misrepresentation, but declaring your masters but not claiming points for it is not misrepresentation. Okay, so there you go. That is another factor what you can do. We've already discussed about spouses language factors or language scores, which again you can choose. The earlier factor points were actually for we were looking at something else earlier, but yes, so you can also reduce your scores for the spouse's first official language. You get 5 points each for CLB 9 or more for your spouse's language. Have them reduce the score by 1 or 2 factor points. That would give you additional, or rather that would reduce your points additionally. What else have you got there? You also, now remember we were speaking about foreign experience and how that does not give you direct points. Well, Canadian work experience gives you direct points. For the first year, you can get up to 35 to 40 points. Second year will get you another additional points, and so on and so forth. For foreign work experience, you get points under the skills transferability factors. Okay, so you get points for education. You get points for if your education is with Canadian work experience. So we are not taking Canadian work experience in this particular case. Or the second factor points is foreign work experience with good official language proficiency. So this is where you get your foreign work experience points. So if you had 1 year of work experience and you had only CLB 7, okay, in your language score, you get 13 points for your skills transferability. If you have 1 year or 2 years of work experience, but you have CLB 9, then you get 25 points for your skills transferability. But at the same time, if you have 3 years of foreign work experience, CLB 7, you get 25, but 3 years of work experience and CLB 9 will give you 50 points. So please be careful over here. If you're going to reduce your work experience, you may not benefit, because from 50, you're trying to reduce it to 25, which is a big, huge. So unless you are sitting at 500 and you want to reduce it to 475, then probably you might want to do this. But I don't see any sense in doing that. So for people who are thinking that they could reduce their work experience by not claiming points for certain periods of work, that is not going to sit very well, especially for foreign work experience, because the difference in these two is 25 points, and that practically is not going to help you. In addition to that, if you have a sibling in Canada, you don't want to claim points for your sibling, you could do that. So that will take off your 15 points, and that is just about it. And the reason why we're trying to do this is obviously because of the 467 cutoff. So these are different ways which you can look at. And also, mind you, there are also situations where your spouse accompanying, not accompanying can play a big role. So probably previously you had your spouse not accompanying you because you wanted more points. Well, this is a chance. Maybe you can add your spouse, show your spouse is accompanying in your application. That will also probably reduce your points. You don't have to claim points for your spouse's education, language skills if they don't have, or if you don't want to claim those points. So use the CRS calculator on IRCC website. You can play around with it a bit, use different combinations, permutations, and that will help you. Now, I know there were a lot of questions as far as the Ontario draws are concerned as to why is tech draw not happening and why is only general priority draw happening, and can we expect a tech draw? Well, I would assume that the next draw, if at all it happens, I would assumption, opinion, it is not my prediction, I'm just saying that based on whatever is happening, that you could have a tech draw the next time it happens. And the reason for that is, under the general draw or the targeted occupations priorities draw, they have 18 NOC codes. 18, that's a lot of NOC codes. But under tech draw, you only have 6 NOC codes. So, there is no balance there. So, and obviously, they obviously want to invite some other occupations as well, not only concentrating on the tech draw. So people had come to get used to the fact that there would be tech draw and a general draw and a tech draw and a general draw, but probably now they want to sort of bring a bit more balanced approach into inviting the occupations and not concentrating only on the top tech occupations. As I said, tech draw would only usually have 6 occupation codes, but general or the general priority draw or the targeted occupation draw lately has been seeing 18 occupation codes, so which is a much larger pool of people being invited. That is also one of the reasons why the scores are less, or rather the lower range is quite high when it comes to the targeted priority occupation draw versus the tech draw. Tech draw, it's only 6 NOC codes, so sometimes if they're going to invite more people, the scores, the range could be larger versus the targeted occupation draw, where the range is quite shorter because the lower cutoff can be quite less, because there are so many number of people, so many people in the pool who you're inviting, so many people in the occupation codes you're inviting. So this, my friends, is what I wanted to share with you in terms of utilizing the whole points game, point system to your benefit if you wanted to. Mind you, do not provide any fraudulent information, because that would lead to misrepresentation. But if you don't wish to claim any points, you will still need to disclose or declare that as part of your application. Of course, you will need to do that, but you can obviously choose to not claim points for certain factors if you do it the right way. All right. So that's all I have for you today, to sort of to show you how you could, because there have been so many questions after this latest 467 draw, and this is what you can do. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I'm not sure what you are waiting for. I mean, like, why would it not even occur to you to subscribe to the channel? Of course, go ahead and click on that here. Click on that subscribe button, subscribe to the channel. Please do follow us on Instagram. There's a lot happening over there all the time. And if you wish to make an appointment, that is the link, one-on-one. We can chat and figure out what we need to do with your application to sort of have you a better chance with this whole process. That's all I have for you today. Thank you very much for joining in. We shall do it again. Oh yeah, tomorrow we have a weekly live, 10:30 tomorrow morning, which would be a roundup of the entire week's whatever is happening, and also some more discussion about this latest article that everybody's been talking about. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Join us live tomorrow, 10:30, and we will do more question and answers then as well. Thank you, and see you later.